The Iran-Israel conflict appears to have reopened the doors to some old relationships, notably that of the US and Pakistan. And we have the celebrated lunch which President Trump hosted for Army Chief General Munir only the other day. I spoke to Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev, a well-known Arabist and who follows Persian Gulf politics closely, and he gave us some insights and perspective into this war and, of course, the new US-Pakistan relationship that appears to be happening vis-a-vis Iran.
There are huge differences between Afghanistan scenario and in Iranian scenario that is still evolving. Afghanistan, for once, was 1/10 the size of Iran in terms of population. It was a landlocked country. It was dependent on Pakistan, and Pashtuns in Pakistan had their kins living in Afghanistan on the other side of Durand line. Now, between Iran and Pakistan, the situation is entirely different. Iran actually is half the size of Pakistan, unlike Afghanistan, which is 1/20th the size of Pakistan in terms of population. Uh, Iran has its own shoreline, and there is not much interaction across the rugged Baluchistan Sistan border that separates Pakistan from Afghanistan. For both countries, that area is a no go area. In British times, Baluchistan used to be called Ilaka Ghair, where the British mandate did not run, for one. And the situation hasn't changed since. BLA and uh, Jaish al Adl are active on each side. BLA against Pakistan authorities. Iran, its focus, the fulcrum lies towards the west, towards the Arab world, towards Central Asia, and so on. There was not much interaction across uh, Pakistan Iran border. The bilateral trade, for example, is only $2.3 billion, much of it gas flowing from Pakistan, Iran to Pakistan, and the food stuff like rice flowing the other way. So there's not much of what is happening. Then again, the political orientation of the two sides are very different. Uh, Pakistan is in a pro-West, at least trying to be pro-West all the time, while Iran is staunchly anti-West, anti-Israeli, and to some extent has frictions with the Gulf Arabs, to whom Pakistan regards as their saviors. Uh, so all that orientation put together uh, makes it difficult for Pakistan to gel into the situation that exists in Iran. Moreover, perhaps most importantly, Iranian regime is basically Shia, and it's a revolutionary regime. While Pakistan is a Sunni majority country, there are about 15% Shia who have their own persecution complex about being discriminated, etc., etc. And it's a military backed pseudo democracy with many failings. There are various scenarios that can be conjured up. Firstly, there is total annihilation of Iranian nuclear muscle, and Iranians agree to get rid of their nuclear weapon capacity, and they are left to their own devices, much like what Saddam Hussein had to face after eviction from Kuwait. Iraqi army was decimated, but Schwarzkopf's army did not go all the way to Baghdad to effect a regime change, because that would have cost a lot of manpower and casualties and uncertain future. The same situation may arise here. Israel is in no condition to effect a regime change on its own. Regime change normally requires boots on grounds, which are difficult to uh, get together in such a large country such as Iran with 100 million plus population. Uh, then again, you have uh, second option, second scenario that you can build is uh, boots on ground, Americans taking part in the war, and uh, inconclusive outcome, war of attrition, and American bases, etc. Gulf coming in the Gulf at other places coming under attack. Strait of Hormuz facing some instability, difficulty, oil flows being curbed, etc. Basically, Iran still standing and in retaliatory mode. Uh, that scenario is between these two scenarios you can take various opt-ins and opt-outs. How does China and Russia behave? How do the neighbors, Saudi and UAE and others, work? Do the proxies start getting active all over again on their own? Terrorism and so on, all those things can be factored into these two scenarios. Americans are unlikely to use Gulf country bases against Iran. Why? Because Iranians have already said that they are going to retaliate against US presence and against the countries that host those presences. This is a scenario countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Oman, Bahrain, and Kuwait are unlikely to agree to, because they come under fire directly. And as we have seen in 2019, the Abu Qaq attack on Iran, on Saudi Arabia's largest oil processing center. Nobody knows who did it, but every needle points towards Iranian involvement one way or the other. So similar scenarios can be uh, can be threatened or repeated, and this is not going to be to the liking of Gulf Arabs, and therefore some other staging post would have to be used. What is that staging post going to be? My own guess is Pakistani Baluchistan might come in handy because it's sparsely populated and Iranian orientation defense wise is towards Israel in the West. It's possible to see India as a serious collateral victim. Uh, we are the largest country in the neighborhood, uh, just across the Gulf, Arabian Sea, 900 kilometers from Gujarat to the coast of Oman, or even less. Uh, we have over 90 lakh Indians working in the Gulf whose safety, security, and well being is of utmost concern. If you recall, in 1991, when we had to repatriate our citizens from Kuwait, the number was only 1.6 lakhs, and it cost us more than 5,000 crores at that time because we had to ferry them on our own without any help. And that put paid to our economy and triggered a crisis that is well known. Now we are talking about 90 lakhs, something like 60 times the number that were involved in Kuwait. India is much stronger, bigger, and better equipped, but it's a sizable number. And if trickle becomes a torrent, almost everybody would like to leave. If that happens, we are also going to be concerned about the remittances we receive. Individual statistics are not available, but the total about $130 billion, half of it's supposed to come from the Gulf area. So if you have $65 billion coming to India annually, which feeds, let's say, five times as many expatriates that are sending them. So we are talking about nearly 4.5 crore people who are dependent on remittances from Gulf. All that ecosystem goes for a hit. Then again, the oil, we are third largest importer of oil, and our oil bill, depending on oil prices, is $120 billion plus. Now, more than half of it comes from the Gulf. It has come down, uh, uh, but due to Russian oil taking place of Gulf oil, uh, but still, it's a very sizable number. And we are the third largest importer of crude in the world. 85% dependence on imports for domestic consumption. Now, if, God forbid, Strait of Hormuz gets blocked, tankers war takes place, that leaves us in very vulnerable position.
That's all we have for you on this broadcast. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media. Thank you very much.